Welcome back, everyone. I decided that since I was continuing to stitch on Vespertide, I might as well record it, since the feedback I got was that people weren't that concerned about how close I got the camera to the stitching. Therefore, I could just do the best I could. As you can see, I have started doing the block stitching on the left hand side. I decided it would be really nice to get as much as I could done on this today. I'm at 24.29% currently after doing the 743 stitches so far today. I'm not sure I'm going to do that much more. My hand is feeling quite numb. That's why my fingernails are so short, is because I kept splitting them because my hand feels numb. I can't always tell if I've hit something, and my fingernails were just breaking all the time. So what have I been doing today? This is still the 15th of October. It is during the day. It is now 4:30 p.m. My husband got up at 4:15 this morning to go get the cows in, because a full-time staff member is on days off and we have a relief milker. We have 485 cows that we are milking, and we milk twice a day. Normally we start milking at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then afternoon milking is from 2:30 p.m. It finishes around about 5 o'clock, sometimes 5:30. At the moment it's a little slower because the cows are at peak. I just thought I'd tell you a wee bit about myself. My husband and I have been married for 31 years. We met when we were both 21. My brother was about to be married to my husband's sister. So we met because my husband had just come back from living in Northern Ireland. He'd been over there for a few years, and we were introduced by my brother and his sister, and we got on really well. Within a couple of weeks we were engaged, and then a couple of weeks after that we got married. We got just a justice of the peace wedding. My parents didn't come to our wedding because they didn't think it would last, and neither did my husband's parents, because they thought after we'd only been together for a month, there's no way it would last. But we knew that we were soulmates, so we got married. Within a month, I was pregnant with our oldest child, our son. Didn't expect to have a child because I had endometriosis really badly and got told that I couldn't have children. So he was a surprise. And then 2 years later, we had our daughter. And we tried for another child after that because we really wanted to have a big family. But I had several miscarriages and realised that it just wasn't meant to be. So I had a hysterectomy after I'd been bleeding for about a year. So when I met my husband, he got a job at a wool store. He was a manager of a wool store, but the writing was pretty much on the wall at that stage, and this is 30 years ago, that sheep weren't going to be a big thing. So he did relief milking on a dairy farm that was near us, and then he got offered a job on that farm. He worked his way up from just a junior staff member to becoming a herd manager, and that was just out of Geraldine. We moved on to the farm, so that was the second school that the children went to, and then we got another job as a manager at Methven, so that means we were at the foothills of Methven, the Mount Hutt. So we had to get used to having snow every year. We had, the last year that we were there, we had 24 inches of snow, and we had no power for 2 weeks or telephone. And that's when we decided, no, I'm not sure we really want to continue living here. So we started looking for another job, and we got a job at just out of Timaru. As we were used to Timaru, that suited us. And once again, the children went to another school. This must have been the third or fourth school. In all, Jessica has been to 7 schools. So she seemed to settle in, no issues at each school. Unfortunately, our son wasn't quite as lucky. He had a few more issues socialising and settling in. But all in all, I don't think it was a bad thing. Sometimes we haven't kept up with friends from areas that we've been in. You keep up for a few years and then you stop. So I'm pretty antisocial now. I think that comes, and I even think the children aren't as social as they used to be with moving around so much, because we were moving every 3 years. And unfortunately, that is part of the dairy industry, is that you want to go up the ladder, and you do seem to keep moving jobs for better prospects. We went to a manager's position. When we moved to Timaru, we were out of Timaru, we were looking for a share milking job that we didn't have quite enough capital, so it was just a waiting to see game until we saved up some money. So with being in a manager's position, we were getting paid a wee bit more. That was in 2006, I think. We might have gone there 2002 or something. So we stayed there for 3 years. In that time, I went over to Europe. I did a tour of England and Italy and Paris for over a month or so. By that stage, we had been to Australia for a couple of times, so I was quite comfortable going by myself. So my husband stayed on the farm and looked after the kids, and unfortunately at the time he broke his arm while I was away, because he had an accident on one of the motorbikes on the farm, and the contract that we had said that one of us had to work on the farm. As I was away, I needed to come back, so I was stuck at Heathrow for 24 hours before I could get a flight back to New Zealand. And then I came back, and I didn't really need to do much on the farm, but it was just said in the contract I had to be on the property. Then we started looking for a share milking job, and we found one down south. It meant that all our cows had to be moved, and we needed to get a trucking company to move all our furniture. At that stage, we had King Charles Cavalier dogs, so they came with us, of course. And we went over to Australia again with the children. We very much wanted our children to travel with us, so we stayed at a resort there. Unfortunately, I had an allergic reaction to something. I'm not sure what it was. I think it could have been ants, because we noticed every night there was a lot of ants in the complex. So I came back and I still had a really bad allergic reactions to different things. For example, the dogs, I couldn't be near them if they jumped on my lap or they wanted a pet or anything. I came out with big welts, and in the end we felt the only humane thing to do was to find homes for them. It was a long time after we had the dogs before I thought about even getting a cat. We had a black and white cat for a few years. Unfortunately, it wasn't very friendly. It used to come up and bite me and claw the back of my legs. So in the end, we didn't feel that we could rehome him. We think what happened was that a cow kicked him out in the paddock, because it used to go out in the paddock all the time, and we think he had a bit of a brain injury. We did take him to the vets at the time, and the vets had a look at him, and he had to be on anti-inflammatory drugs because he had a sore back. But he was never right after that, and it's as if he blamed me for it, which was quite frustrating, but there was nothing I could do. In the end, we put him down because we didn't feel that he could go to any other home because he was too vicious. So it took a long time before I decided to get Coco, because Jessica had a ragdoll, and occasionally I would look after her, and I couldn't get over how sweet she was. Totally different to our moggies that we'd had. So I decided in 2020 that we would get Coco. And she has been really good. She's good company for me. She's definitely my cat. She doesn't really have anything to do with my husband, apart from if he plays with her. He goes to pet her, and she flattens herself down and puts her head as flat as she can, basically to say, leave me alone, go away. So he tends to just ignore her and just play with her at night, and that's about it. So I've been to Canada twice. I went to Canada a long time ago. Must have been about 10 or 15 years ago. I went by myself, and I seen a girlfriend over there, and I stayed at Niagara Falls area. I was there for a month, and then I came back, and our children were meant to go on a school trip to the Stewart Island, and they weren't interested in going, and I said, fine, you don't have to go if you don't want to. How about I take you to Fiji instead? So within coming back from Canada, a few days later, I took the children to Fiji, and we went to an island and stayed there for 10 days. I found it extremely hot going from Canada. It was in winter, and coming back to Fiji, heat. But it was really good to have that quality time with them after I'd been away again. My husband and I went to Koh Samui a few years ago. And then 6 years ago, we went to Canada together, to the Niagara Falls area again, and we travelled different parts of Canada, like Quebec, and also went into America. So that was fun, but I feel that my travelling days are about over. I'm not sure I want to spend the money anymore either, because you're looking at a good 20,000 I think we spent just going to Canada the last time. It could have been closer to 30. I could have bought a new car with it. So a couple of years ago I did buy a new car instead of travelling, and since then we've just been on the farm trying to save as much money as we can, because when the pandemic started here in 2020, we had just we had a small cottage up at the runoff. We just signed a contract to extend it, so it's 2 bathrooms, 2 bedrooms, huge living area with kitchen. And then, so that was all done. Oh, we were quite lucky because at the time I could get most things. The carpet, I had to get a really good quality carpet because that's all that was available at the time. And the carpet's really nice, so I'm not concerned. But a lot of people said to us, why are we building when the pandemic started, that it would cost us so much more. But in hindsight, it was the best thing that we could have done, because building now is even more costly, as well as a lot of the products you can't get due to shipping issues into New Zealand. And even the plasterboard that goes in the interior, a lot of people have had huge waits for that. So we had no issues like that, and I was really pleased. The only thing that I think we do need up there now is we might need a something for lightning strikes. So this coming week I'm going to look into that. In the last few months, because when we built, we had a year and a half to build a shed. We were going to get a 3-bay shed built so we could put our vehicles in it. And the resource consent for that was about to finish. So we ordered, it must have been last Christmas, we ordered a kit set for the shed. Unfortunately, there was a lot of delays for that, and we had to extend the resource consent, building consent, and we thought that was going to cost more. Thankfully, it didn't. It did cost more because we wanted a concrete floor on it. We assumed that is all normal, but we had to go back to get resource consent for that, and because you have to have it a lot thicker if you're going to have vehicles on it. So once again, the council did get money from us, but it has been built. The electrician at the moment is working on getting power over there and lights and security lights. So when we do move up there, if we want to park in the shed because it's up across the driveway, we can walk back in safety to the house with security lights. What else can I talk about? I'm running out of things. So we don't own the property here that we milk on. We have a boss and we do 50-50 share milking. So that means that we own the motorbikes and we employ the staff and we own cafeterias which you pull behind the motorbike that has the milk in it to feed the calves, the feed out wagon, all that sort of machinery we supply. The boss supplies a house for us and the worker, as well as the cowshed and the land. He pays the rates on the land and he gets 50% of the milk cheque. So that's worked really well for us. And the property, our runoff property is 115 effective hectares, and we own that. With building the house, it'll be worth more. We still have a bit of a mortgage on it, but once we sell the cows, hopefully that will clear all that, and we have new cars, so we should be sorted, hopefully. What else can I talk about? The land here is 145 effective hectares. It is worth way too much money. Any dairying in New Zealand is worth a lot of money. For approximately, it'll be 5 or 6 million for this farm. We paid 1.8 million for ours. So I just needed a drink. What else can I say? Not sure. I might add music from now on because I'm not really sure what to talk about. But thank you for watching and thank you for the feedback. It'll be really interesting. I put a poll on my channel to see what I should do next time for my Stitch With Me. This is just an extra because I was stitching anyway, and I really wanted to get to the 25%. I'm not quite there, but I think I really need to change projects, so I will work on whatever. I will give it another week for people to pick for my next Stitch With Me. Actually, I'm not sure I will give it a week. I might give it 3 or 4 days, and then at the end of the week I can do another Stitch With Me. Hopefully I'll have something else to talk about by then. By the way, I'm 52. Wow, had to think about that. I must admit, since I had the stroke, I am slower. Even my stitching is slower. I can tell that a lot of the time, because my right hand, I haven't got as much feeling in it. I'm stabbing the fabric and hoping for the right spot, and I have several goes. You'll notice that. Well, I hope you have a great week, and I will upload this shortly as an extra, and if I can find, I think I've got a video about with some of our house to show you, and I'll add that at the end of this, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye. I decided from now on I'd speed my recording up because I must have stitched for over an hour for this recording. There is several times I've stopped and started it because I had to get up to go to the toilet a couple of times. I needed to get a drink, and my son also came inside. He lives with us. We have a sleep out that he's in because he has got epilepsy and he's not able to work at the moment, and he's not able to drive either. So he has had epilepsy for about 5 years, and every time he has a seizure, he was dislocating his shoulder every time he had the seizure. Unfortunately now he can just sit up in bed and his shoulder will dislocate. They are hoping that they'll operate on the shoulder. He has to be a year seizure free first. Unfortunately, he hasn't had the year free. He is on a lot of medications. Therefore, he's not even able to work. He has slowed right down because of the drugs that he's on. I really feel for him, but there's not much we can do about it. Unfortunately, I had epilepsy when I was a child. I outgrew it by the time I was 15, and my husband's mother, she has got epilepsy as well. I've decided I'd just add this because I thought about it afterwards. I have to say that my parents didn't come to our wedding, and neither did my husband's parents, but my brother and my husband's sister, they got married, and all parents went to that wedding. They got married a couple of weeks after we did, or no, maybe we got married a couple of weeks after they did. And it's quite funny, they were only married for about 4 years, and that was it. They've been divorced, but we're still happy. So I kind of have to laugh over that one. I have added the clip of our extension. It's not the whole house, it's just the new living area extension and the master suite with walk-in robe and ensuite. So since I took that recording, we have got all the plugs and everything in, and we got ceiling fans installed as well, because it is 5 degrees warmer at our house than here, because we're on the hills. It's quite hilly, that area, whereas it's very coastal here. So I can't wait to actually live in our own house. It would be nice for a change. So that clip is at the end. It's before we've got all the plugs and everything in. So I hope you enjoyed that. I have sped this up because it's such a long video. So sorry I'm not talking over the whole lot, but I've run out of what I can say. I'm sure I've bored you enough. Thank you so much for everybody that's watching. It'll be really interesting to see with the poll what is actually picked to stitch on. So thank you. Bye. This is our new extension. This is the dining room. This is the living area. As you can see, I've got a log burner. The plugs haven't been installed yet. This is my cupboards. That big cupboard I think I'm going to have cross-stitch stuff in. This little cupboard is going to have my computer desk and computer in it. Here is the bedroom. It's the second bedroom. It's a master one with the ensuite. At the moment, this is with cross-stitch stuff, and not in this picture, and this is the ensuite. This was before we had all the plugs and things in. It's paddock. We were still waiting for face plates. As you can see, the stock needed to be there.